Sometimes we can draw like this and we can really, really concentrate, or we can doodle. And doodling is just as therapeutic as you want it to be.
This is the fourth deck in my Light Through the Shadows series. It's called Growing Around the Ache. This one is for those of us who've been carrying grief for a while.
I wanted just to say a little bit of why I painted animals as I'm doing this. So, why animals? I had already started painting animals before my husband died, and I'm not sure, because it wasn't very long before he died, that I'd gone back to art. We'd had a business together, as you might have heard in some of my other videos. But I moved to animals from painting portraits, and Rob enjoyed me painting animals because he actually chauffeured me around to paint them. I didn't come to art looking for healing. I came because my mind wouldn't stop. My mind monkeys used to run wild, and I'm sure you know that feeling. So art wasn't for anything more at the time than healing, not healing, sorry, but to stop those mind monkeys, to control them. And I think painting animals felt like another soul. I was bringing another soul alive on paper. And I actually could concentrate. And while I'm concentrating on the art, which I'm not doing very well right now because I'm trying to talk at the same time, and while I was concentrating on this, my mind monkeys had no space. So that's why I painted. Some people might use painting for healing, because they do, and it's good for that reason, and we all have our reasons for doing what we do. But there is something magical about animals. You know, when you start with the flatness, and you keep building the layers, and you paint in the direction of the fur, which is what I'm trying to get now, is those lines of the fur in the right directions. Because the more we do this, the more 3D the whole thing becomes. And suddenly you don't have a flat piece of paper. You've got an animal, a soul, looking back, it's 3D. And that's the magic, and that's what I've always tried to achieve. I also like the challenge, because I think again the challenge is what occupies those mind monkeys, isn't it? And that's what it's about. So I'm curious now, what have you done? I know the first year, this is for people beyond first year, because first year is survival, acceptance. I don't actually think I accepted until after the first year. I think there's part of you still believes they're coming back. I don't know how that, I think your brain just protects you from so much and lets you realise in drip feed. So what have you done that has kept your mind monkeys at bay, or have you, or do you struggle? All those things. If you don't want to share that online with me, you know, just journal it out. I've journaled a lot. I don't journal daily. I just journal when I feel that I need to get something off my chest, and out in the open or out on paper, so it kind of acknowledges it. I think that's the point, isn't it? It's the acknowledgement. Some people do paint, and they do a little section, another section, they keep growing, and a bit like, go all over, get some movement in it and see where we're going. As I'm going along, I'm actually varying the strength of that mixture, because some of the areas are lighter, some are darker, and I don't want to go all in dark because I've got a little bit, I've lost my white spot there, haven't I? Just lift it off. I don't go in completely dark because we're going to build as we go. It's a young Aberdeen Angus. I'm not sure if it's a bullock or a bull at this point, or if it's a female, to be honest. I get the impression that it's a little guy, actually, to be honest. I've painted a lot of cows over the years. They are one of my favourites. I'm actually quite enjoying the colour scheme of this one, which has just really happened a little by accident. There was not really a total plan of it. Sometimes that's what happens in life, isn't it? We don't have a plan, we just go for it. And sometimes we go for it because we have no choice. Life throws things at us that we weren't prepared for. I think going through grief and, you know, going into this, what I'm thinking right now is, you know, when you're going into from first year to second year, that first anniversary is, I know I dreaded it, absolutely. And you kind of build yourself up to this anticipation of, gosh, what it's going to be like, and I signed it with family, but, you know, I think sometimes your fear is slightly worse than actually the day itself. How did you find that? Did you find it the same? Your sort of anticipation's worse than the actual getting there? It's funny how sometimes you just play around with that mixing the paint, but I quite like that one. I'm built in with the watercolour. Sometimes, like here, if I go over here, I'm going to lift so much I don't want to do, so I'm going to have to just wait for some of that to dry before I actually build some other colours. Otherwise, it's going to lift off. So we'll just leave that. Who likes cows as well? I like cows. They're inquisitive. As long as you don't go in the fields when there's babes around. But actually, it's the young that are very inquisitive. I think if you find a field of young, they'll always come to the gate if you stop. And they always come to see what's going on. I'm just going to lift a bit of paint off the eye. I think it's a little bit too dark because they do have bits of brown in them, so I'm just going to take some of that off, and then I'm going to build that eye. Thankfully I left the white at the top, which is good. It's always about building in layers. Don't go too heavy to start with, and then you go darker as you go along with watercolours. Give that chance to dry. We'll just get a little bit of that shaping in there as well. If you were choosing an animal yourself to do, have a good look at the photo. If you've got, you would be working from a photo just like I do because animals don't sit still long enough. But there's so many different colours when you actually go in to the picture and have a look. And by using those colours is what gives your artwork life. Because, a black animal is not completely black. Also with art, there's an ugly stage in the middle. Where you kind of think, is this going to work? But just wait for it. It's like life, isn't it? Massive ugly stage in the middle, I think. Oh, that's year 2, definitely. It's an ugly stage of reality. So when people think you're okay, but you're absolutely not, you've just mastered the art of saying, I'm fine. And people believe it. And actually, really, you're not. None of us are we? We have this constant ache inside, and that's the bit people don't see. I am actually now 4 years on. And this morning, sitting down to start this 4th pack on film, because it will go on to YouTube as normal, and that's why you'll be seeing this. But I suddenly had quite an anxiety over it, and I panicked a bit about it. I was kind of thinking of where I was going, what I was doing, what I was going to say, or what. I'd sometimes wing it a bit, to be honest. I did. I'm very anxious about it. I had to try and calm myself down into being able to just sit down and paint this morning. Painting gives you a break. Well, for me it did, and I hope that if you decide to give it a go of painting, or maybe you already do paint and you just listening because it means a lot to you as well. It does just occupy those 9 monkeys. So when you're picking those colours, I do go for greens or reds or aubergines to give it just that little bit of interest in a way. As it's shades of a colour. Especially with this, it would end up as just shades of black or grey. But actually, giving it some colour gives it life and gives it body. The thing is with watercolours as well, they dry lighter. And sometimes that's, you think you're building and actually it's a lot lighter than you thought. So you just got to keep going, keep at it, layer by layer. So once you've got the colours into an ear, then it's kind of almost important to get the underneath now done, because those top ones will come over this bit. It's just perseverance and lots of small layers. No different to use Grief Journey, it's making those small steps. Being courageous, being brave, because sometimes we're pushing ourselves to go into the unknown, aren't we? As learning who we are, we've suddenly gone from being us to me, and finding yourself. It's very strange. It's a journey that I'm sure a lot of us hadn't particularly planned for. I don't even think if you've had a long illness with your partner that you've really planned for the impact of when they die, because it's an unknown. I'm just going to very carefully just go in with a bit of a pen into those eyes, because I just feel I need to clarify where I'm going with them. That one has a little bit white bit, but I've kind of lost it a little bit, but it doesn't actually matter. I have a bit of a cheat sheet for getting that back, which will work afterwards. I'll share my cheat sheet with you. I'm just going to put the dark of the eyes in a bit stronger there, but I've just gone in. Need it a bit thicker actually. Sometimes it gets too watery. I'm just going to try and go around now and build some of those dark areas up. I will finish with the pen as well actually, because I do like pen and I haven't got pen and ink, but pen and watercolour simply. Most of art is just lights and darks, and you just keep building. Depending on your medium, what you're using, but you just keep building. It's a bit watery really, I think. Let's see how it works. It's actually quite a nice colour in the end. So I'm just going around and I'm just picking out now the directions of the hair and the cow. Just creating those curves with it, because that's what brings it alive. I chose the cow to be the first of this deck for a couple of reasons. One is because when I look up the animal, it says cows show us patience and perseverance. Well, gosh, we've had to have patience and perseverance, haven't we, through our journey. And also, it says they move steadily. Ooh, I can't say that. They move steadily through the challenges with calm determination. Yeah? What's your thoughts on that one? Do you agree that that's what we have to do? Just keep moving steadily, getting stronger all the time. I think we find strength that we didn't know we had. We learn things we didn't even know we were going to have to learn, but we do because we have no option. I wonder how many of you have been under the bonnet of your car sorting things out that you never thought you'd have to, but there you go, you are. I had got some brake fluid in my car, and when I looked up how to do it and made sure that I got the right stuff, it said it was brake and clutch fluid. I thought, gosh, this could be whatever. And I googled it, YouTubed it, did everything. Actually, when I went into the car, there was only one spot for it to go. It's like, well, it's here or nowhere. And it suddenly dawned on me I have an automatic, so it didn't actually have the clutch. Anyway, it worked. It stopped flashing messages at me that it says it needs doing, so. I'd love to hear what you've ended up doing that you didn't think you would ever in a lifetime have to do, but you have. Leave a message in the comments, that would be nice. The second reason for doing this cow is quite comical actually. There's an old farmer that comes to Market, and every time he's there he always says to me, do you paint an Aberdeen Angus? Have you got one? And I went, I'm all saying I haven't. And he's asked me a couple of times. I'm not there every month because I can't get in every month. And I just thought, you know what, if I'm going to put a cow in these ones, which I like painting cows anyway, I should do it as an Aberdeen Angus, and then I can tell him I've done an Aberdeen Angus. I'm a bit concerned that he might be put off by the amount of colours in this, but I actually don't think he's going to buy it as much as he just wants to know that I can do one. The noses are quite speckly somehow, so I'm sometimes just dotting it extra colours as I go. I'm just going to go in and just get some shadow using that same darkness around that side of his nose, because it is actually darker that side. And let's just begin those shadow areas up as well. Now I'm just going to put a wash over to join all these colours together. I've already tried it here actually, to be honest, because I wanted to know that it would work the same as it does when I use my inks. So it's just a light wash. I don't want to scrub, I don't want to drag that underneath. Normally once it's dry, it doesn't drag or lift unless you really want it to. So I'm just going to do just that light watery wash. I'm just literally using the Payne's grey now. So we fill in some of those white areas that just needed joining together, making sure that we don't capture the ones we want left. By doing this, it leaves the colour still showing underneath, but far more subtly. I'm going to do this down the bottom and be a little bit more powerful with it because it needs to be more powerful down there. Okay, I'll just lose the shape of his chin there, but I can think it out. That's the point. So the one bit that's just got a little bit lost in the colouring is this eye. Just needs a little bit of knocking back with that white there, because it's not quite that white. Kind of a bit in that ugly stage at the moment, I think, and it's when we suddenly decide to rescue it. So this is a touch of acrylic, because acrylic's the only one that's going to paint over the watercolour. It might take a couple of layers, but that's fine. So I'm just going to find that white of the eye back there, down here. So this will take more than one layer. I'm trying to do this at a funny angle so that you can still see, and really I should be more upright. It would make it a lot easier, but that's fine. So I kind of lost the little area in his forehead there that's white. I'll just add a little bit of that in. I don't want to go too mad at this point, but sometimes I just add little highlights here and there. I do not know how much, but we have to be completely dry for it. So I've just got a fine liner, it's number 4. I didn't test it before I picked this one up, but I should have really, because I do use them a lot, and sometimes some of them aren't working well. So I'm going to attack the whole thing with the fine liner. When you first start this, it's like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? But you have to be committed to say, right, this is my drawing, this is where I'm going. You can't half do fine liners. You need to really just keep at it until you've got enough lines that make it amazing. I just want a pen. I found it's a slightly thicker one actually. And I bought this paper because sometimes when you're doing this, you can clog your pen quite easily with the paint, so I just bought a few extra bits. I can get a bit squibbly sometimes actually, and I have to just watch it because it depends on where the hairs go. Oh, let's give this a bit of a twist around and do this up here so you can see what I'm doing. This pen's much better actually, the other one's a bit worn. It'll get worn out in the end. Hastay's ears are a little bit wild actually, but I think that's because he's young. Our eyes are pretty dark actually though. Probably not one of the easiest ones to actually do, if I'm honest. more highlight in there in a minute. So this is very, very me, just on the side, but I want to slightly change the picture because I just think it needs more to it. And he needs to maybe be behind a hedge, a little bit of greenery, we'll work those leaves in there somehow. But I just think it would be nice if he was peeping through the hedge. What do you think? These are the roughest leaves ever. But that's the point. At this point I'm just getting the green on, I'm not really, in a way I'm just doodling with the bush as well. I need to find a name for it. And also the affirmation for this one, I've got a few choices for us, and I think it's a young bull opposed to a cow. It could be a young cow, to be honest. But it's young, definitely. That's the point, yeah? So I think it will be appropriate to maybe use it as I don't wish my growth. And we shouldn't wish our growth through this journey. Because right now we are growing and finding out who we are on a journey that we didn't ask for. So I think that's a good one for this particular piece of artwork. Everyone should have a go at doing these because it is so much open to your own interpretation. When you use brushes, you don't have to use them all traditionally. I am really seriously swapping this brush around. I know it's my dagger brush, and it's a smaller size I don't normally use. And if I'd got a flat brush in my, a big flat brush in my jar, I would have automatically gone for that at this point, but actually I really like this one. But it's one that you can go sharp like that, or you can go on the sides. Let's take that off into that. And then you can actually go like that as well and use it as a line. I do that a lot with the small one. I don't know whether you notice that. So instead of swapping my brush a lot, I'm using one brush for a lot of different looks. I think I need to just dry that off before we go further. And I will say this, we've got a wonky nose. It's a bit quirky, and that's fine. If I actually put some lines that way, you'll probably find it'll get more even on it. But right now I'm quite enjoying this wonky nose. I think it's part of him. So I'm just going to go straight from the tube now and just give that. I just wasn't quite shaping very well. Because it's acrylic, I'm just going to go into it with a bit of the colour before it dries, because it'll be harder to go around once it is dry. I actually find a small brush is far harder to use than a bigger brush. Sometimes I do these with a much bigger brush. I'll rub it in because then it doesn't get too much of a shine on it, but it just gives the highlight. You can do it with a pen, but to be honest, I never really like the white pens on it. I think it can be too sharp. It's quite nice doing this. It's very therapeutic, you know, just to keep dabbing away. Mixing your greens as you go, it's quite surprising what colours you get. And it's a good experiment to just keep mixing different combinations of the yellows, the blues. Just be careful I don't lose some of those colours by getting carried away with the one that I think, oh, that's lovely. It's just a little bit of wash over the whole thing. Okay, so I gave that dry, and now I've just got a lot of the lemon yellow, and I'm going to go over all the leaves with that lemon yellow, because I think sometimes lemon is a really good wash to bring in a bit of shine, a bit of life, and sometimes some colours can be a bit dull. just going to go round the eyes again, because I just think we need just to clarify that bit. This might spot the leaf sometimes because I did do them quite roughly, but you know, that's sometimes what a fence or a hedge would be. It's you've not got perfect leaves doing the right thing, have you? So it's nice just to be a little bit loose and free with the leaves. Enjoy the process. How's that looking? Sometimes you can see better on the camera than you can straight down. I think if anything, that white here is a little bit too white and just needs a shadow putting over it. I'll just do a very, very watery wash on what's left on the plate there. I don't want to lose the white, I just want to knock it down a little bit. We forget that eye actually is quite in the dark anyway. I might be happy with that. It's like that might. I want just a tad darker green in some areas. Catching that page underneath. We'll do the next one next week. It'll be marked. I'll have to turn it over and use the opposite side. It'll be fine. Highlight a bit, just lighten those again. I don't know what his name's going to be, but I'll think of something. Affirmation for this one is steady, is strong. I think going through the first year is very survival. I think the second year is when we really adjust, and part of that adjustment I think is perfecting the way we say I'm fine. How are you, Chris? I'm fine. And people don't question you after that, they just assume fine means you're perfectly okay. We know that's not quite true. So I hope you enjoyed that video and painting Angus. I decided to call him Angus. It seemed rather appropriate, didn't it? And steady is strong. And if you'd noticed, I actually said it different at the end, so we're going with 2 in the end. Steady is strong, I don't rush my growth. And both are very, very appropriate for this picture and this piece of artwork. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like and subscribe because it does help build the channel. See you next week.